Hello, everybody. Okay, I am now being live streamed here on Instagram and also on Facebook. I'm very excited about this talk today. I know I've been advertising for it all week, so this is actually going to be a series. Yes, this is going to be a series. Oh my goodness, I actually forgot to bring something in, but it's okay. I will tell you all about it and then how you can order it as well. This is not for a product. This is just something that is part of the whole kit and caboodle, which I'm talking about today. So with that in mind, what I am going to do is I am going to introduce myself. Hello, my name is Drew Mulvey. I am a certified dietitian and nutritionist. I'm a board certified nutrition specialist. I am a certified leap therapist, which is a specific food sensitivity protocol based off of mediated release testing. It's about 92% accurate and specific for those particular food sensitivities. It's been used for those with migraines, IBS, any sort of inflammatory conditions, particularly athletic performance too, because when you start removing those inflammatory foods, then your body starts functioning properly. I am also a precision nutrition level 1 coach. Oh, sorry about that. I am a precision nutrition level 1 coach, which is more holistic sports nutrition. I am a certified personal trainer, and I am also a candidate for the certificate in integrative and functional sports nutrition through the Center of Integrative Sports Nutrition in the UK. And I have been learning so much. I am so passionate about this, and I am so excited to be bringing this not only to my clients, but to you as well. So with that in mind, I have gotten some inquisitions from all of you about learning about some foods for recovery. This is so important because what you're putting in your body can significantly affect how you are recovering from your workouts and especially your training too. So some of the things that I'm going to talk about today, one of them in particular is a compound, and I'm going to let you know what foods that you can incorporate that have that particular compound in it. There is another one of those foods. I shouldn't say there. This is different. The compound is different. There's going to be a food that I absolutely love. And I'm also going to be talking about what I was meant to be talking about, that little product that I absolutely love that I actually use in my everyday routine. And I've been using it for 3.5 years, and it has significantly improved my antioxidant status. And then I'm going to give you some little tidbits on how you can use each of these, particularly for your athletic performance and even in a whole food sports strength too. So really, really cool. All right, so the first one that I really want to talk about is antioxidants. Okay, so that can be general because there are so many different compounds known as antioxidants. There's flavanols, there's proanthocyanidins, okay, you know what? Now I'm getting too biological and too technical, but there's a lot of them. So they all have particular properties which can really help you with recovery. But the one that I'm going to be talking about today that has been used in the sports world, as well as with immunity, which you've probably heard a lot, is quercitin. Now, quercitin is a potent anti-inflammatory compound. It can be found in organic red peppers, tomatoes, onions, apples in particular, citrus fruits, and actually the best source of quercetin are capers. I know they're basically little, some of them are squishy. So some of them are squishy balls of salt. That's how I would describe them. Some of them are a little bit harder. So you could find them you could make a healthy chicken piccata. That's really good with the lemon as well. Anyway, so quercetin, very important as an anti-inflammatory. In fact, quercetin, when mixed with other flavonoids, okay, so that's another class of antioxidants, so to speak, when that was mixed with another flavonoid or another antioxidant known as EGCG. I always get that. Yes, EGCG. It is a particular compound that is in green tea that has really potent antioxidant effects. Now, in a recent study in cyclists that were supplemented with quercetin as well as the EGCG, for 2 weeks, they were put through 3 days of intense exercise for 3 hours. Now, for those of the particular subjects that were given the EGCG plus the quercetin, they actually had a better anti-inflammatory response, aka better recovery and less tissue damage, muscle tissue damage. So what could that necessarily mean? Well, you can incorporate a little bit of green tea, and you can incorporate some apples, such as maybe organic apple juice or orange juice or something like that, to get a little bit of extra quercetin, mix those together, and you really get those antioxidant benefits as well. But there was also another study that I was looking into, is quercetin as compared to resveratrol. Resveratrol is another antioxidant. Again, there are so many different classes of antioxidants. I'm just covering one in particular today. So there was one study that was looking at the benefits of quercetin versus resveratrol, because that has been spoken of a lot, particularly not only as an anti-inflammatory, but because of that anti-inflammatory effect, it is very, very beneficial for decreasing any sort of inflammatory proteins in your body, as well as working at the intestinal level too, and really calming down the fire that could be in your intestines if you have any sort of intestinal inflammation, particularly IBD. But interestingly enough, in another recent study, this was done a single blind controlled study on female athletes that were supplemented with quercetin for about 1 week, actually demonstrated a reduction in lactic acid levels after exercising times. So lactic acid levels are usually what accumulates after, say, anaerobic exercise or really intense exercise, which can hinder recovery. Now, that's been debatable, as they have said that it's really the hydrogen atoms that are generated from that particular sport or that particular intensity, which could be affecting your recovery. But if you think about it, that lactic acid buildup, that's going to create those sore muscles. So by adding in a little bit of quercetin or foods that are containing quercetin, it might actually be much more beneficial. Now, what also happens after intense exercise, I was alluding to this before, is that there are elevations in several different inflammatory proteins, particularly TNF alpha, which may be responsible later on. I don't want to say this, but it can be responsible for potential cancer later on. There's also C-reactive protein, which is also can be elevated in heart disease, but it's very elevated after an intense exercise. So you want to make sure that you're decreasing those levels of those inflammatory proteins, as if those inflammatory proteins remain elevated for long periods of time, A, they can eat away at your muscle because that's what inflammation does. And then B, it could significantly impact recovery time and training time, and you're not going to be able to really get the training that you want. So it's really important that you are adding in these antioxidants. Now, speaking of lethargy and fatigue, antioxidants are also going to be incredibly beneficial for anti-fatigue during longer endurance events. So why is that in particular? Antioxidants work on calcium channels and sodium and potassium pumps. Okay, you're probably asking me, what the heck are those and why are they important? There are calcium channels and sodium potassium pumps in your muscles that are responsible for muscle function. If they are not functioning properly, then what happens is that you can fatigue a lot easier. So that's why it's usually recommended that you have electrolytes during your workouts, because you're sweating and you're losing your sodium, which is your most prominent extracellular ion. When you're losing that, then potassium can shoot out of the cell as well. So you're getting low potassium in the cell, you're losing sodium. So you need to be able to replenish that to help with that fatigue. Also, those calcium channels as well, it creates that gradient to be able to get the muscle to be functioning properly. So without a proper status of antioxidants, then those are not going to be functioning properly. So incorporating antioxidants such as quercetin can actually benefit you during your training as well, not just after your training. Now, there's been a lot of debate about antioxidant timing. Now, what I've seen in the research is that people have been supplemented with insane levels of antioxidants, particularly vitamin C. One of the research papers that I was looking at, it was vitamin C, and they supplemented vitamin C to the athlete during their training program or during their race, and it significantly blunted the beneficial effects of the mitochondria. Now, why is this relevant? Because mitochondria are responsible for your energy pathways. Now, okay, that's in a supplemental form, and that's not going to be in a natural form. So adding in some whole food options will not have that same effect as that high level of vitamin C, let alone you don't want a lot of antioxidants because you actually need oxidation. Oxygen is the final electron acceptor in that transport chain to create that ATP. So you need that happening, but that does not mean that you don't have to have antioxidants during your training. If you're doing an ultra marathon or any sort of ultra endurance events, a little bit of antioxidant might actually really help you to prevent that fatigue. So very important. I did want to address that yes, there's been some controversial evidence, some controversial research in that. But when it comes to whole foods, there are also other factors that are in those whole foods that could be benefiting you as well. So the types of antioxidants, this is what I was alluding to before. Personally, what I do, it's about antioxidant status. So your diet in particular, make it as colorful as possible. And an antioxidant supplement or adding in some antioxidant powders, particularly what I've been using for 3.5 years is Juice Plus. And I have a testimony about this. I have gotten lab tests done recently, and twice already in the past 2 years, I've had to go off of it for 3 months due to a food sensitivity test. For those 2 times that I have gone off of it, my antioxidant status went down. So these are very, very beneficial in maintaining that antioxidant status to prevent that fatiguing as well. And there's also components in there that are good sources of quercitin. So basically what these are vine ripened, and they're dried, and they're at their peak. It's basically just dried fruits and vegetables, and then you put it in a little capsule, and that's exactly what you're getting. This has benefited me so much, and that is why I've been on it for 3.5 years. So if that sounds like something that you want to add in, that's going to give you a little extra boost on top of your healthy diet, please DM me, or you can check it out. I will actually put the website in the comments. For those of you on Facebook, you're going to be able to click it. For those of you that are on Instagram, you're just going to have to copy and paste it. I apologize. I wish that I could send you all the links. Again, it has been phenomenal. And speaking of which, antioxidants, there's also this particular component. So there's the veggies, the fruits, and the berries. And this is in the berries. I believe in fruits of the berries. Cherries are another excellent superfood that you can add in for recovery. They taste really good. Oh my gosh, they're actually one of my absolute favorite fruits. But B, they have amazing compounds in them. In fact, there's been research that's been done. They've actually recommended tart cherry juice a lot for those with autoimmune conditions because, in fact, they have found in recent studies that there are compounds in tart cherry juice that help to decrease levels of C-reactive protein and forgive me if I don't get this right the first time, malandaldehyde. There we go. I got it. So that particular compound is usually elevated in those with joint pain, particularly those with rheumatoid arthritis. So that's where that tart cherry juice can really be beneficial for you, as well as eating those organic sweet cherries. Very, very, very good. That can also be really beneficial for athletic performance because what did I just say before? What's usually C-reactive protein is elevated after really intense exercise. So adding in a little bit of tart cherry juice. Personally, what I do is I add a little bit of tart cherry juice. I have about a cup, maybe a cup and a half. And then I have collagen peptides usually after my long triathlons or my triathlons. That has helped me so much with recovery. You know what? I actually missed it once and I didn't recover as well. So that's something that you can be adding. Also, Another really great thing about the tart cherry juice, yes, it is really high in sugar, but if you've been going for a really long period of time, especially if you're an endurance athlete, then you're actually going to need those carbohydrates. So in fact, you can make your own drink and your own electrolyte drink. So I was saying that before, that you need electrolytes to prevent that fatiguing too early. So what you want to do is you want to make a 6% solution. So 6% meaning it's 60 grams of carbohydrates per liter. So 60 grams of carbohydrates with the cherry juice. Ooh, that could be really, really concentrated per liter. I believe that it's 30 grams per cup for the tart cherry juice. So that would be probably about 2 cups to 1 liter of water. Yeah, that might be a little too concentrated. So you can get a more concentrated form where you can do, I've done this before, where it's maple syrup and it's cherry juice, just make sure it's in that 6% so it doesn't cause those GI issues. A lot of endurance athletes complain of GI issues because of particular sugars and it being too concentrated. So you don't want it to be too concentrated. You can add in a little bit of salt to a little bit of sodium. So you are going to need a little bit of sodium. Personally, I really like using electrolytes called Adamant. That brand has been amazing for me. It has sodium, potassium, and magnesium in it. So you can throw in a little bit of the Adamant in there too, and you can make your own sports drink. You can sip on that. Now, usually when you're sweating, you can actually lose up to a liter of water in your sweat. So interestingly enough, too, is that pretty much every minute about 1 gram of carbohydrate is being used up. So that's usually why they recommend between 30 and 60 grams of carbohydrates, particularly 60 grams of carbohydrates every hour when you're doing a longer endurance event. For me in particular, I do much better with the 60 grams of carbohydrate, but I divide it up every half hour into 30 grams of carbohydrate. So this could be a really great way that you can just be sipping on something, because if you're going for long periods of time, your adrenaline might be running and your body's just not thinking about digesting. So this could be a great addition for to be in place of some of those other sports drinks out there, because they have a lot of different natural flavors. They have a lot of colorants. They just have a lot of other things that might not be natural, and the body has to expend extra energy to detoxify those things. So very important that you're keeping things that are whole food and keeping things pretty clean too, because then your body's going to be able to use it. Plus, speaking of GI distress, here's an interesting fact. So by incorporating different sugars into some sort of a gel or some sort of a goo or some sort of a drink, it's actually going to lessen the amount of GI distress. And that's why a lot of athletes actually do well with maltodextrin. And that is a glucose polymer. So it's glucose and fructose. And what happens is that those particular sugars, each of the sugars have different transporters in your intestines. If it's just straight glucose, think about it. It's going to be backed up because everybody's trying to get into that transporter. So if you have multiple sugars, then there's going to be multiple transporters, and then it's not going to create that backup. The carbohydrate isn't going to get stuck in your intestines, and you're not going to necessarily be getting that bloat. So fruits are not just made of fructose. In fact, cherries have fructose, they have sucrose, and they have glucose as well. And they have a little bit of maltose in there. So there's 4 different sugars. Actually, sucrose is a combination of fructose and glucose. So, all right. So they've got 3 different sugars, but there's using different transporters, plus it's from a whole food too. So that can be really beneficial for you, especially if you're experiencing any sort of GI distress. Now, another way that you can incorporate the two, so I talked about adding the cherry juice. Well, how about adding in a little source of quercitin in there to really decrease those the inflammation or the inflammatory proteins that could be generated after you are working out and after intense exercise. So I had said that apples are a good source and citrus fruits are a good source of quercetin. Oh gosh, I'm thinking of cherry lime. Cherry lime is so incredibly good. That's actually one of my favorite flavor compositions, I'd like to say. Yeah, flavor compositions. So a little bit of lime, a little bit of cherry, or you could get some organic apple juice, throw some apple juice in there with a little bit of cherry, and then throw in some of the salt as well. Actually, you know what? I want to revert back because cherry extract in particular has been shown to decrease inflammation as well as enhance muscle strength in rugby players too. And this was measured, they were on this for about 2 weeks, and they measured that their anti-inflammatory status was about 91% as opposed to 85% with that muscle strength. So pretty cool. I love cherries. I love all these sources of quercetin. Plus, it was saying that EGCG, by adding in a little bit of that, you can add in a little bit of green tea in there too. Caffeine has been shown during your workouts to enhance your workouts a little bit because your body is actually utilizing that energy. So it's very different if you're just sitting the whole day and you're having caffeine as opposed to the caffeine where you're utilizing the energy, because energy can be neither be destroyed or made. So with that in mind, when you're having caffeine, you haven't had anything, then your body's trying to find energy from somewhere, and some people crash later on, but it's utilizing that energy and then you fuel afterwards. So adding in a little bit of that green tea is not only going to give you that little bit of caffeine, but it's also going to give you those antioxidants as well to prevent that muscle fatigue as well as improve recovery too. All right. So with that in mind, this is going to be a series, but I have a freebie for everybody today, which is going to be another link that I am going to put down into the comments. Is my little ebook that I put together, and it is called Foods for Female Athletes for Athletic Performance. And it's a great little book. It's going to give you some pre, intra, and post-workout nutrition, other foods that are really important for female health, particularly hormonal health, because hormones, that's a big factor, especially when you're an endurance athlete and also when you're an athlete in general. So you want to make sure you're fueling your body properly, as well as some of these other foods that may help improve your recovery as well. All right. So with everybody that came in, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate all of your support. I really hope that you gained a lot from this talk. Again, if you have any other questions about any other sports nutrition topics that you are dying to learn more about, please DM me and let me know what they are so I can cover them for you and I can give you a little bit more detail on them. So with that in mind, a little recap. So two of I should say, the first one is a compound. The second one is a whole food that you can incorporate into your routine that may help to improve recovery is quercetin, which can be found in organic peppers, organic tomatoes, citrus, olive oil. I didn't say that, excuse me, olive oil, onions, and capers. And apples. Yeah, I was talking about apple juice. That's been really beneficial and shown an increased antioxidant status and anti-inflammatory protection from intense exercise, as well as cherries. Cherries have also been shown to improve that antioxidant status, and also with muscle protein synthesis and repair, muscle protein repair in rugby players in particular, and also decreasing C-reactive protein, which can be elevated after intense exercises. I did talk about a little bit about my source of antioxidants, which I absolutely love. That's Juice Plus. It's fruits, veggies, and berries. There's 30 different fruits and veggies in all of them. I've been on them for 3.5 years, and my antioxidant status has been much better on them. Again, you need proper antioxidant status for those sodium and potassium pumps to function properly, as well as those calcium channels, so that your muscles are functioning properly. And then I gave you some ideas for how to use some of these things and make your own little drink as well, if you're going on some long rides or some long runs, or if you're even hitting the gym too. All right, everybody. Well, again, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Drew Mulvey. I am a certified dietitian nutritionist. I am a board certified nutrition specialist. I am a certified LEAP therapist, which is a specific food sensitivity protocol based off of mediator release testing. It is about 92% accurate and specific for particular food sensitivities and has been amazing for migraines, any sort of inflammatory conditions, and athletic performance. I am a certified personal trainer. I am a precision nutrition level 1 coach, which is a particularly holistic sports nutrition. So it kind of looks at the whole. And I am a candidate for the certificate of integrative and functional sports nutrition through the Center of Integrative Sports Nutrition in the UK, which I am so excited to be bringing to all of you. Personally, I will work with overachieving athletic females to help to improve their athletic performance and energy and stamina through balancing hormones, through improving their gut, and most importantly, really improving your relationship with food so that you start to see it as fuel and as fun. That's the most exciting part, that we learn to find that balance and something that is right for you. I also use alternative testing to kind of see what's going on a physiological level to really get you working and training at your best. And if that sounds like you, I absolutely would love to work with you. My link to the icebreaker call, so this is about a 15-minute consult, it is going to be available in my bio, so please make sure to check that out. All right, everybody. Well, it is Friday. It is the weekend. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend and a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care.